Hi guys, welcome to my channel Lush Gardener. I hope you guys are fine and are safe. So a lot of times people tend to ask me, can we grow succulents only in perlite or only in pumice, without using any garden soil? Is it possible to grow succulents in such kind of a condition? Now guys, I would say from my experience, now I'm not very sure about others, but this is from my personal experience, the practical answer to this question is sadly no. So basically you need to understand that you cannot plant succulents in a media that does not contain at least a little bit of soil, because the function of soil for any plant, be it succulents or be it a flowering plant. Now I'm not talking about epiphytes, because there are soil mixes for epiphytic plants like let's say for monstera or for philodendrons, or there are other foliage plants, like even for that matter scindapsus as well. Now these plants are epiphytes, which means that they don't require soil. They can easily grow in a soilless media. When I'm talking about soilless media, it basically means a lot of people tend to use everything apart from soil. They tend to use pumice, perlite, coconut chips, coconut chunks, coconut husk, cocoa peat, peat moss, and probably leca. So all of these materials are used, but those plants are epiphyte plants. Those are basically plants that tend to grow on other tree trunks. So for that, if you do not use soil, it's absolutely fine, because in nature they tend to grow, or they tend to kind of I wouldn't call it as a parasite plant, but I would say that they tend to absorb the nutrients, and they tend to absorb that necessary things that they require for their growth. They tend to absorb it from other tree trunks, or probably from other stems, etc. But when it comes to succulents, even for that matter, you cannot grow a flowering plant in that kind of a mix, because every plant has a very different requirement. If you are going to grow a flowering plant in a soilless media, it will definitely not do quite well. It does require soil. Now the main reason behind this is why we need some soil for our succulents, and we need soil for flowering plants, because soil tends to have these minerals. It has the capacity to retain moisture to some extent, which is very good for our succulents, because when you mix soil with the regular potting mix, like with sand and with perlite or pumice, when you mix, let's say that you mix 10% or 15%, or like how I tend to use 20%, when you tend to use this soil, it has that required minerals in that soil. It has that water retaining capacity, which is good enough for our succulents. It's not that it tends to retain a lot of moisture, how peat moss or cocoa peat tends to do. It tends to retain moisture, but it also tends to dry up fast, giving enough time for our succulents to have that quick drink. Apart from that, it has these natural minerals that our succulents prefer in order to grow healthy. So whether you are growing succulents or whether you're growing any type of flowering plants, you definitely need to have some amount of soil in it. Probably not 100%, but some percentage of soil in it for it to grow healthy. Now here I'm not talking about the epiphyte plants that we just spoke about. We're not talking about pothos, because pothos can easily grow in water. It can easily grow in leca, but our succulents can't do that. So whenever you are making any mix, ensure that you either use 10% or 15% if you're not very happy with the soil mix, or if you are afraid that your soil mix is going to turn compact. Probably you can just use 10% of soil mix, but ensure that there is some trace of soil in your potting mix. Only then your succulents will start to grow healthy. For me, this has been the same practice for almost 7 years. It's going to be 8 years. Probably by the end of this year, it's going to be 8 years of keeping succulents, and I have always used maybe 20%, not more than 20%. Probably at times I tend to use 15%, 20% of the garden soil, but the soil is present. There is soil in every pot of mine that I grow succulents in. So if you are planning to grow succulents only in perlite or only in pumice, then I would say that is not a very good idea, because pumice and perlite is very airy. It tends to stay very porous, but at the same time our succulents, they do require a little bit of minerals. They do require that little bit of water, because pumice and perlite will dry off easily and they won't retain any kind of moisture. So we do need a little bit of soil in order for our succulents to grow healthy. So guys, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep planting.